I think I need a shave. It's itching, buddy. Could you give me €2 or 4? Maybe 6. How about €8 so I can go to the barbershop?
Sure, no problem.
Cool. And while I'm at it, I might get a new t-shirt too. I'm wearing this thing like forever. So can you give me maybe another tenner?
Well, all right. Everything for Jimmy.
Nice. Buddy, you see that light over there?
Yeah.
We need a new one. I've been telling you for weeks now.
Well, I have to wait for next month's pay, then I'll buy a new one, okay?
Okay, fine. Oh, by the way, buddy, it's past time for your monthly Jimmy Cage YouTube channel fee. You have to pay today. That means if you want to stay a part of this thing.
Well, I gave you all I had. I don't have any more money right now, okay?
I get it. Too bad. First class idiot. Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage.
And I'm Deniz, the Buddymeister.
And it's our continuing pleasure to review one Indian movie each week.
Together with Satyajit Ray and Mrinal Sen, Ritwik Ghatak is remembered most from Bengal cinema. As with Ray and Sen, Ghatak's movies are primarily remembered for their meticulous depiction of social reality, partition and feminism.
The three of them charted the trajectory of the so-called parallel cinema, a counterpart to the mainstream of Hindi cinema. And although they weren't always on the same page, they admired each other's work.
Ghatak directed 8 full-length films, and apart from that he also has a number of incomplete feature and short films in his credit. He was only 50 years old when he died in 1976, but he left a great impact on Indian cinema.
Ghatak stood entirely outside the world of Indian commercial film. None of the elements of commercial cinema were featured in his work, but unlike Satyajit Ray, Ghatak never had the luck to create an audience outside India. Ray actually tried to promote Ghatak's work, but it never came to fruition.
Which is tragic, because Ghatak was quite a bit ahead of his time.
Well, we have seen our first Ritwik Ghatak movie, The Cloud-Capped Star, and we obviously can't or couldn't get around comparing it to Satyajit Ray's work, but you also can definitely see and feel that this is something else.
The movie is set against the backdrop of the aftermath of the partition of Bengal during the partition of India. The family at its center is a family of refugees, and I think this is a detail that can very easily be missed by an audience who's not that aware of this part of history. But it's important because it shines a better light on the struggle of this family. They are coming from the middle class and now live in very poor conditions.
At the center of this family and the film's story is the young girl Nita, played by Supriya Chaudhary. She's the one who brings home the money to support her family, and while doing so, sacrificing everything. Yet she gets barely any gratitude, rather the opposite. The family is very unappreciative, and over the course of the film, she basically loses everything.
It's a dark, tragic and uncompromising film with almost no moments of reconciliation. It has some mild humor to it, I think, coming especially from the father of the family being forgetful and annoying, but that vanishes completely over time.
Ghatak deconstructs our ideal romanticized version of family and shines a strong light on the human nature and how everyone is looking for his or her own self-interest and survival.
Exactly, and the one person who doesn't look after herself is the one who suffers the most. In this case, it's Nita. Her future gets entirely decided for her because she's not able to break through this cycle of selflessness. She doesn't even use her hard-earned money to buy new slippers for herself. She rather walks barefoot and continues to support her family.
But no character is coming across as a simple one-note villain. Their behaviors all range from pretty bad to worse, and yet there are always little moments in which we can see a glimmer of compassion, or if not that, maybe an explanation or justification for their actions.
It's a strange dynamic, but a realistic one. The inner workings of a family in such a situation can hardly be normal, but it's also a situation where no one really talks with each other, except for Nita and her brother Shankar, played by Anil Chatterjee, whom we just saw in Rise the Big City.
The bond between Nita and her older brother Shankar is a strong one. Shankar's only dream is to become a singer, and he doesn't seem to care to do anything but pursue his passion. He is completely dependent on the little money Nita is giving him. It took me a while to fathom his character. First, I wasn't so sure if he's just an egotistical douchebag, but as the film progresses, I think it clearly has sympathy for him.
I actually felt the same, although I think Shankar could have been more supportive of Nita and less dependent on her. And I think that the movie wants to tell us in a way that he was too late in understanding that other things but yourself are important too.
True, but they definitely have this connection that no other two characters have. And they understand each other in ways no one else does. As a matter of fact, the very first frames of the film introduce us to him singing and his sister Nita enjoying the sound of his voice as she's walking home. His songs will remain a steady companion throughout the film, and many very heartfelt moments are tied to them.
Oh yes, the songs, the lyrics, the music in general is absolutely fantastic. When that song about the boatman came on, I was so in it, I loved it.
The music and sound effects left a big impression on me too, especially later on when Ghatak uses surrealistic sound effects to highlight a certain feeling. For example, the use of lashing as Nita is suffering. And there is a lot of suffering in The Cloud-Capped Star. Suffering and a tremendous feeling of loss.
In a similar fashion to Satyajit Ray, it seems as if Ritwik Ghatak is also a very humanistic filmmaker, but he seems, at least speaking from this one film that we've seen now, more unforgiving about the darker sides of the human condition.
I would agree, but I think Ghatak, in contrast to Rai, uses a more artificial approach, and I don't mean that in a negative way. The topic is realistic, but the way it is written and directed and shot feels more poignant and melodramatic. We talked about the use of music, which plays a big part in that, but also the composition of many shots. They were quite interesting and challenging. More than once they attracted the attention to themselves as people were kind of cut off in ways you usually don't see in most movies. It's quite compelling, but it certainly differs from Rai's work.
I think the movement of the characters is something very important in this movie. We see a lot of very articulated eye, head and body movement, characters turning from left to right, to each other, away from each other. They may not be talking that much with each other in a classic sense, but they are certainly saying a lot with those movements.
Many scenes are very emotionally charged because of that, yes, and it keeps on building as the movie progresses. I found the first half to be really good, but it was the second where it got very heartfelt, and in the end I was really shaken by its story and the progression of Nita's character.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessary to point out how good Supriya Chaudhuri and Anil Chatterjee are in this movie, but let's point it out. They are fantastic, and the last 15 minutes are really something. The storm is finally there, waving its victory banner, as they say in the movie, and the last scene with Shankar seeing that young woman whose slipper just broke, and his look saying something like, "What have we done?" It's unbelievable.
I definitely want to see more movies by Ghatak. It would also give us the opportunity to evaluate the things that we just said about his work and bring it into relation.
I'm in. So, in German we'd say?
In Ritwik Ghatak's The Cloud-Capped Star treffen tragische Ungerechtigkeit und harte Realität aufeinander. Fesselnd inszeniert, emotional aufwühlend und großartig gespielt. I give The Cloud-Capped Star 8 out of 10. It's more like 8.4, but I don't do that.
For me, it's 9 out of 10. It's more like 8.6, but I don't do that either. Did you know that Ghatak took the title A Cloud-Capped Star from William Shakespeare's The Tempest?
I didn't know that.
Well then, you're welcome.
Please tell us what you think about The Cloud-Capped Star, and you can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram and Letterboxd simply at @TheJimmyCage.
And you can hit me up on Twitter at @TheBuddymeister.
And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like, and make sure you hit that bell for all we have to tell.